Good morning, hires. I'm trying to make a quick video just to recap what we've done so far. Up until now, we've been doing kind of background and introduction to the course. That's including all about knowing what the Longshore regime is and then knowing about the role of the royal family. What we're starting today about looking into the clergy is kind of the first isolated factor. Now, in the PowerPoint you're about to get today, I've also put again that issue 1 mind map that I asked you to copy down your jotter before. I know some of you had issues finding it or getting it. I don't know what was going on. And thanks Leah for letting me know about that. So I've put it again here. If it's still not working, I'm really sorry. Try have a look at it again. I'll basically talk through it quickly. It says in the middle issue 1, which is the first issue of 5 in the whole French topic, and issue 1 is called The Greatest Threat to the Onslaught Regime. What we mean by this and why we do a mind map like this is because your essay question in issue 1 will talk about the threats to the onslaught regime. And the only things they can ask you is those kind of, I've got here 6 or 7 stems. So this is the foundation to your essay. The stuff I've learned about the onslaught regime, divine right of kings, that will all go into your introduction. That's all your context and you need to have that knowledge. But this information here makes up your factors. So the first one today is the position of the clergy. That means you could get an essay that asks you to what extent was the position of the clergy the greatest threat to the onslaught regime. Okay? Now, as we go through the course, we kind of do the key knowledge. That's really, in a higher level, you'll notice already, the knowledge is really in-depth. It's more than just kind of rhyming off 5 Reasons for Revolution. It's really looking in depth at what that meant and what was going on at the time. So for the first one, position of the clergy, this PowerPoint is quite complicated. It's got lots of big, fancy words that you have to Google and learn about. And it goes on to what's going on. Why are we teaching you that? That is your knowledge points. And like a skill you've taken from National 5, your describe, that will go into your essay. Obviously, your knowledge marks, you get 6 knowledge marks at higher level in your essay. That makes up the bulk of your paragraph, your knowledge. That's the top bit. So you do need to know stuff. So you need to know about the position of the clergy. What was going on? What does that mean? And that goes into that knowledge bit. So you do the content section in the PowerPoint. As you go through, you'll see that, so take notes. That's why I sometimes get you to do like kind of definitions and stuff, thinking about what they mean, looking into it in depth. Okay, so in terms of the clergy, you have a quick look through. The first thing I asked you to do is match the heads and tails. There's probably a lot of words here you don't recognise. And they're really big words, but they're really, really interesting and fascinating. Learn about the idea that, obviously we talk about grievances in the onslaught regime, we're thinking about what is a threat. Now, why are grievances a threat? Because grievances mean that people aren't happy. And issue 1 is all about grievances, people who aren't happy, who could potentially bring down the onslaught regime, could potentially end the way it's been for many years. That's what a grievance is, okay? It talks about nepotism. Now, nepotism comes from the word nipote in Italian or Latin. It means nephew, someone related to you. So if there's nepotism, it basically means that you are given kind of favour to people that you know, particularly your family. And that happened in Italy and it still happens today, even in many positions, but that is the word nepotism, that's what that means. And that was rife in the church at the time. Given that the church was associated with wealth and power at the time, it was very common for people in power to give their nephew a position of power in terms of rich positions in the church, such as bishop seats and stuff, things that could not happen today, okay, and obviously are not allowed anymore. Pluralism just means the idea that you have more than one. So plural is more than one. So again, if there's pluralism, it means that maybe you have more than one position when you shouldn't. So it's the idea that maybe a prime minister today could be both prime minister and chancellor. Now that's not allowed. Obviously that's a power issue, but that's what happened in the past. And again, in terms of the clergy, we're talking about the idea that maybe there should be, say, 45 bishops throughout France to evenly distribute the way it worked out, but you might get one really powerful guy holding like 3 different bishop seats, which again is not allowed. And why was he doing that? To get power. Okay. And the last one is simony, and the idea of being able to buy things with money. So not getting there because you deserve it, but getting there because you have money to buy it. And again, that leads to corruption. Okay, so that's what the first talks about, and the idea of patronage. It goes on to talk about patronage. The idea is again, you get it because you know someone who knows someone, rather than meritocracy, that rather than by your merits. So you get a job because you knew the boss, versus you got the job because you were the right person for that job. You were qualified and you deserved it. You merited it. That's what it talks about. And again, you're getting the idea of the church at the time being very based on wealth and power, and not based on kind of merit and good for that position. Okay, talks about the fact that it was very wealthy at the time, and it was the single greatest landowner, so owned about 10% of all the land. Obviously there'd be other nobles who had other land made up, but in terms of being the single landowner, 10% of the land belonged to the church, and it gained a lot of its money out of a church tax called the tithe. Okay, very important, and again, great knowledge point to use in your essays when really specific about that church tax called the tithe. Now again, that tithe was meant to go into the upkeep of buildings, it meant to go into maybe helping the poor, but redistributed, but it wasn't the case, it didn't happen, and instead it got kind of stolen into the coffers of the people in positions of power, which shouldn't have happened. Okay, then it talks about the division of the clergy into different sections. We don't just talk about the church as one thing, we need to again have more in-depth knowledge about the church, so again knowing how it was broken up. The idea that clearly it was divided into two, so we have the upper clergy, and that means people like bishops, okay, and archbishops, so the kind of the higher bit of the hierarchy of the church, and then people at the bottom, such as the parish priests, the people who would be distributing and seeing people on a day-to-day basis, really, the priests and the nuns, those who were administering the sacraments, those who were talking to people, going to people's houses, doing services, they were the lower clergy, and actually there's quite a big difference within that at the time. I mean, today that's still the case to an extent. Usually a bishop has more bureaucratic jobs, but today we would expect a bishop to be quite holy and not to be sitting in positions of wealth and power, and indeed that cannot happen anymore because of this time and us realising that that wasn't correct, obviously. But the people in the upper clergy were often there through corruption and through wealth and power, rather than actually because they were religious or holy, and it creates a bit of a chasm between the upper and the lower clergy. So you have the upper clergy who are very rich and wealthy, etc., and the lower clergy that are very poor and are living like most of the peasants of the ancient regime anyway. Okay, and it talks about the difference in there. Then it talks about what grievances were there within and against the church. Now be careful, because there's grievances within the church, obviously, i.e. the parish priests, in terms of potentially angry at the bishops, etc., but be careful, because when we're looking at analysis, okay, now analysis just means explaining, so I'd link back to your National 5 course about we always had to explain the reasons why. That was to set you up for analysis. So if you're using the word because, you're analysing something. So I want you to do the tasks in the booklet obviously about this, and that'll be good summative knowledge. But then we always give you something called analysis plus. This is another 6 marks in your essay. When you start writing your essay, it'll come on sooner than you think, and then you'll see at the end I've put it in a green and a red. Now they are really important. Now if we were in class, I would actually ask you to do it by yourself, and actually I might take that out and get you to do it by yourself, and then I'll put this in later on. I'll do that because I want you to write in your jotter A and A+. Now what does that mean? In issue 1 it relates to the question of issue 1. So issue 1 analysis means explaining why that factor you've just studied, in this case the clergy, would be a threat to the ancient regime. Always answers the question. So in what ways could the clergy be a threat to the ancient regime? This is when you really need to think at a higher level, and I often ask you to do it by yourself first to get those creative thinking juices going, because if I just give you it, you'll just learn it or forget it and regurgitate it, and you won't actually be thinking about the course. And I always say when I start higher that if you're not thinking, you're not going to be able to do well. It's literally that, and I know it can be difficult and it can be really challenging, but this is where you really need to think. So why would the clergy be a threat to the ancient regime? That's what I want you to think. I've got 4 points. So I'm going to get you to think about it, then post it on the classroom. I'll give you one, for example. So the idea that the church controls information to the public, they could potentially undermine the regime, maybe talk out against it to bring the regime down. Maybe they would like the ancient regime to fall because they have the day-to-day contact with the public. That could be one way. So if I'm writing that analysis point, one way in which the clergy could be a threat to the ancient regime would be because it could potentially undermine the ancient regime having more contact day-to-day with the population. That is analysis. Your analysis plus point is basically a counter argument. Okay, we've talked about this at National 5, so you might remember it. So given a counterbalance to that, and I guess it's really important in history. So I would maybe counteract that, use my knowledge I've got so far, and say, yes, they could undermine the church if they wanted to, because the ancient regime if they wanted to. However, we know that people at the time really believed in the divine right of kings. So really, why would the church want to bring down the ancient regime? Because it's the ancient regime that kind of sustains their position in society. So really, that isn't that much of a threat to the ancient regime, because yes, the church could do that, but in reality we know they wouldn't want to do that because that's where they get their power from things. And even if the clergy did suddenly change their views on things, the people wouldn't change their views on the divine right of kings, and that king being again a God-given position and God-given right. So very unlikely, therefore, that they would have a threat. That is when we talk about evaluation at the end of our paragraphs, and like overall how big a threat was it. So I would probably say at this point the clergy isn't actually that big a threat in comparison to other ones, because really it was supported by the Enchant regime rather than challenged by it. So they don't really have that much to complain about. Many people at the top are quite happy with the way it is, and they wouldn't want to undermine the regime to then lose the positions of power that they have. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of an introduction to the clergy. I am welcome to hire. It's been really nice seeing you talk to me and participate so far. Keep on going, keep on working hard, and any problems at all, just get in contact with me. I know a couple of you have already. So thank you for that. I hope you like my nails as well. We've all got matching nails in this house, including my husband. So good luck. Let me know how you're getting on, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.